What is up, everybody? My name is Anthony, and in this video, we are going to talk about the most popular questions that we get asked by our clients concerning SSLs. Basically, it's going to break down what an SSL is and how it can help your website to get trusted more by your clients, and how you can basically make use of it in both email and your website communications. So let's get right into it. The first question we want to ask ourselves is, what is an SSL? So basically what an SSL is, it's a layer of protection that is done on your website. It's installed on your website, and what it does, it encrypts all communication, both going in and out of your website. So that includes any communication like emails that are coming in or out. It also includes any web traffic that is being communicated in between your clients or any web visitors' browser and the web server. And what does encrypting mean? Encrypting basically means that the information, whether it's videos or text or an email, it's converted into kind of blubber, things that cannot be understood, characters that can't be understood unless they are encoded and unencoded by the other side who is supposed to read them. Now, the reason why this is important is because when you use a website that does not have an SSL installed on it, any communication that is going in between the server and the browser that is viewing it can be taken, can be grabbed and intercepted and read. Now, what an SSL does, it does not prevent it from being read, but it prevents it from being understood. That even though they have this message that has come from your email, they cannot be able to understand what that message is. And that is the main use of an SSL. Now, SSLs a long time ago used to be mandatory if you are collecting things like credit card information. But of late, Google has started making it very difficult for any website to basically operate effectively without an SSL. It is considered as part of the ranking factors that are going to help you rank on your website on Google. And it also would be displayed, especially if you're collecting any data at all, even if it's an email, it would display a not secure next to your domain name on the browser if a user tries to fill in any information. Now, I don't know about you, but if any website shows insecure for me, I will never fill anything in there because I do not know what is in there and whether my information is going to be safe or not. And so you should assume the same thing is happening for your clients, that if you do not have any security installed, that your clients will be running away from your website, would be having a poor experience from it if you're not making sure that they are protected and the communication in between the server and their browser is secure. Okay, so we've answered the first question. What is SSL certificate? Let's answer the next question. The next question that we really get asked a lot by our clients is, does having an SSL affect the functionality of my website? Does it affect it poorly? Will it cause it to load slowly and things like those? So first, let's begin with speed. SSLs basically sometimes, especially if a person is loading from HTTP and it has to redirect to HTTPS, sometimes it will affect the loading speed, but it's very minuscule. It's a small reduction in speed. And other than that, an SSL only does good and no bad in terms of helping your website, in terms of its functionality. An SSL generally does not affect any functionality within your website. However, if you have any mixed content, for instance, that you have things that are within your website that have HTTP and are not secure, not having the HTTPS, you may have issues in being able to load your website effectively, and it may show, you may have some incompatibility issues. But essentially, if everything within your website, both the plugins and everything you're using is HTTPS, it should be able to work without any challenges. Again, if you're one of our clients, if you're having any issues with your SSL, or is having issues that are not working very well for you, the first thing to check if you're using WordPress, for instance, is checking the plugins and removing all the plugins from your list, or if you don't want to remove them, at least deactivating them, then seeing whether the problem goes away, and then checking which plugin is bringing the issue. But if you face any major issues on that front, just give us a call and we'll be more than happy to assist with that. But generally, you should not have any issues if you're having an SSL on your website. The next question that we get a lot about SSLs is, do SSLs expire? And the answer is yes. Generally, SSLs take about 3 months to expire, and so every 90 days, they're going to expire. However, you really don't need to worry about this, because once your SSL is installed, especially if you're on a good hosting provider like us, we set the SSL to auto-renew. So it auto-installs once again at the end of every 90 days. So the only thing you'll experience is that you'll see an email showing that your SSL has been renewed, SSL has been installed once again, but that's all that you should receive. So the answer is yes and no, maybe. It does expire. However, it auto-renews immediately. So unless you're very keen, you may not actually notice that your SSL has expired because it auto-renews almost immediately after that. The next question we get asked a lot. The next question we get asked a lot by our clients is, will an SSL, especially when it expires, will I lose my data when my SSL expires? The answer is no. The SSL, as I said, is a layer that sits atop of your web hosting, and it provides encryption for any data that is getting in or out. Meaning that if you remove it, the only thing that will happen is that the encryption will no longer be there, but all the other functionality is already within your hosting space, and therefore you'll not lose any data if your SSL expires. However, as I mentioned, it's a rare case that an SSL will not renew and will not auto-renew itself because they are set to renew themselves automatically after 90 days, unless you've done something with your hosting account that causes your SSL not to renew, then this should not be an issue. But even if it does happen, and even if your SSL does expire, you still will retain all of your data. One of the final questions that we get asked a lot at HostPoa is whether my website will break if I install SSL. And sometimes it does, and the reason for this is if you have mixed content. By mixed content, what I mean is that you have links, and links may include things like images that have a HTTP and not HTTPS in your website. Your website is going to behave weirdly because it's finding mixed things, and that one HTTP image may cause your website to not load as secure. That is because that one particular image itself is insecure, even though everything else is secure. So when you install an SSL, it's best that you install it before you put anything on that website, before you upload your website and so on. But if you already have, then you need to go through all the links, go through all the images, and make sure that all the images start with a HTTPS. Now, if you are getting an image outside of your website and you're linking it to your website and using it within your website, it's important to make sure that image also has a HTTPS because it's going to show as insecure within your website. Now, if you're using WordPress and you've already worked on your website, already installed without an SSL, then you need to do a number of things to be able to get HTTPS to load properly. Now, the tool that I use to make my work much easier when I have a website that is running on WordPress and that it does not have, it had not had HTTPS within it, and then now I've installed a certificate in it, what I normally use is a better search and replace. That's BETTER, better search and replace. And it's a really useful tool because what it does, it goes through the database and replaces all the HTTP links with HTTPS. Now, the way I enter it is I put in HTTP http:// as a thing to look for. And then in the thing to replace, I use http s://. That makes sure that if there was any link that already had a HTTPS on it, it wouldn't get replaced and have all manner of issues on it. Okay, so that basically wraps it up for the number of questions we asked. Is there any question that I've missed? If there is, please post it in the comments below. I'd love to answer those questions. And I hope to see you in the next video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. And see you in the next video.